The torture room. In the early 1830s, Mrs. Marie Delphine and her third husband, Dr. Leonard Lewis, purchased a large house located at 1140 Royal Street. Upon moving in, Marie began furnishing the home with the finest furniture, gold and silver dishes, and original paintings by famous artists. However, behind all this luxury, Marie hid a terrifying side, a merciless woman capable of great cruelty. About Marie Delphine was born around 1775 in New Orleans after her father, Bartholomew Lewis McCarty, moved there from Ireland in 1730. Her mother, Marie Jean, also known as the Widow Lecomte, because Marie's father was her second husband, was well liked among the locals. Marie's family were prominent members of New Orleans white society. Her cousin, Augustine de McCarty, was the mayor of New Orleans from 1815 to 1820. On June 11, 1800, Marie married her first husband, Don Ramon Lopez y Angulo, a high-ranking Spanish officer, in the St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans. In 1804, her husband became the Spanish consul general in Louisiana. That same year, Marie and Don Ramon traveled to Spain. However, Don Ramon never made it to Spain, as he died in Havana while en route to Madrid. During this journey, Marie gave birth to her daughter, Marie Borja, and returned with her to New Orleans. In June 1808, Marie married her second husband, Jean Blanc, a prominent banker, merchant, lawyer, and legislator. Upon their marriage, Blanc purchased a house at 409 Royal Street in New Orleans for his new family, which later became known as the Blanc Mansion. They had 4 daughters together, Marie-Louise Pauline, Louise Marie Laure, Marie-Louise Jean, and Jean-Pierre Pauline. Blanc passed away in 1816. Marie then married her third husband, Dr. Leonard Louis Nicholas Lalaurie, who was significantly younger than her, on June 25, 1825. In 1831, the couple purchased the property at 1140 Royal Street. With little help from her husband, Marie managed to build a 3-story mansion and acquire 4 slaves. The torture room. On April 10, 1834, a fire broke out at Marie Delphine's mansion, which led to the discovery of a torture chamber, where slaves were brutally tortured over long periods by their mistress, Marie Delphine. While the fire raged, Marie was busy moving her valuable belongings outside with the help of neighbors. However, the neighbors soon noticed that none of Marie's slaves were assisting her and wondered where they were. When they realized that the slaves were locked inside the house, they pleaded with Marie to release them, or at least give them the key so they could free them. She refused completely. The neighbors then ignored Marie and rushed into the house, breaking down doors. Inside, they first found a 70-year-old black woman trapped in the kitchen during the fire because she had been chained earlier by Marie, who did not bother to release her due to her preoccupation with saving her fine furniture. The elderly woman later revealed that she had started the fire herself in an attempt to end her suffering from constant torture. The woman then led the neighbors to an attic room where they found a large number of slaves, subjected to various forms of torture. Among them were 7 men with iron collars around their necks and leg irons, attached to chains fixed to the floor and walls. Others had nails driven into their bodies, some were locked in small animal cages, and some had their skin flayed. This room became known as the torture room. All the slaves were in terrible condition due to the excessive torture and lack of food, their bodies covered in large wounds and deformities. At the time, the sadistic and brutal treatment of slaves was not considered unusual, especially among the wealthy upper class, and these acts were generally seen as outside the jurisdiction of the police, who were also white. Marie was already infamous for her mistreatment of slaves. In 1833, she chased a young slave girl with a whip, causing the girl to fall from the roof of the house and die. Her husband attempted to cover up the incident, but the police eventually found the girl's body hidden in a well. Marie was fined and ordered to sell all her slaves. However, with the help of relatives and friends, she managed to secretly buy them back and continue her brutal treatment of them until the night of the fire in April 1834. Perhaps Marie's hatred for slaves and her cruel treatment of them stemmed from the murder of her mother and uncle by one of their slaves. Additionally, her family had suffered greatly during the 1811 slave rebellion. The escape. When the truth about the torture of the slaves in Marie's home was discovered, It sparked a wave of outrage among the Black community and their sympathizers. Hundreds of people gathered at the mansion's door, demanding that Marie and her family be brought to justice. However, the authorities refused to act. Marie managed to escape the house by carriage in front of the angry crowd. Though many tried to stop her, she escaped at full speed with her horses, and no one could keep up. It remains unclear where Marie fled. Some say she sailed to Mandeville, while others claim she went to Covington, where she stayed for 10 days. There are also rumors that she made her way to New York and then to Paris. The true details of her escape remain one of the many mysteries surrounding Marie Delphine. Did she start with her husbands? During the fire and the media attention surrounding the Lalaurie mansion, everyone seemed to forget about Marie's third husband, Dr. Leonard Louis Nicholas Lalaurie. He was absent during the fire and had not been seen for some time before the incident. His whereabouts after the fire remained a mystery. Some speculate that he learned of the horrors and fled to join Marie, while others suspect that he met a fate similar to that of the slaves at the hands of his wife. The mysterious deaths of Marie's first and second husbands further fueled these suspicions. Adding to the mystery, a cracked copper tombstone was discovered in the St. Louis Cemetery in Paris, France, with the inscription, Madame Lalaurie Marie Delphine died in Paris on December 7, 1842. However, according to Parisian archives, Marie actually died on December 7, 1849. Nothing is mentioned about her husband, Leonard. If he had joined her, why wasn't he buried near her? Or why aren't there any official records about him as there are for his wife? Some have questioned whether Leonard's disappearance had anything to do with unconfirmed allegations that he conducted medical experiments on the slaves, as some claimed Leonard was disliked by those who knew him. One neighbor, a judge, recounted that when he once inquired about the condition of Leonard's slaves, the doctor rudely responded, "Some people are better off staying in their own homes rather than visiting others to impose their laws and interfere in their affairs." The ghosts. Many stories have emerged over the years about the ghosts of slaves appearing inside the mansion. One of the most famous apparitions is that of the young black girl who was killed by Marie. Another frequently reported ghost is a white figure, believed to be that of Dr. Leonard. Some believe his spirit haunts the house because he was likely murdered in his home by his wife.